one.
Commanders I wish had one more color. This video made YouTube a ton of money. YouTube threatened to shut down the search engine AI unless everyone on YouTube has shown this video. Hey, it's just something I've heard, something I'm trying. A little bit of a different setup today. I'm on a children's weightlifting bench right now. Not that it's owned by a child, it's mine. It's the only one that fit. But you better believe that the weights are still man-sized, baby. We've all done it. We've looked at a commander and went, that's real close to being something that's right up my alley. Close being the optimal word there. There are so many commanders that I come across that there's one little detail about it that I'm like, dang, if that was tweaked a little bit, I'd be all up on this. And I recently heard, find what you're good at and do that more and become better at it. So I thought, what am I good at that I want to become better at? Complaining. And I've had one complaint far more than any other. This commander needs one more color. So here's a look at some commanders that I would 100% build if they had one more color added to them. And unfortunately, I'm not a rule zero kind of guy. I'm not a, hey, if the pod's okay with it, I can do it kind of guy. I don't know why. My brain is like, hey, if it's not printed, it's not legal, I won't do it. I just got a Discord message. It's from Yorsum. Perfect timing, Yorsum, because Rona is the first commander we're going to talk about on this video. Up first, we're going to talk about Rona, Herald of Invasion. Rona is a Dimir, blue and black, commander that transforms from a 1/3 human that loots into a 5/5 Phyrexian wizard with trample. Whenever a source deals damage to her, that source's controller exiles a card out of their hand at random. She can then cast that spell for free. This girl needs red. She needs to be Grixis immediately, and I need a Grixis deck. Her ability to exile a card at random from someone's hand who dealt damage to her and cast it for free, paired with red's pinger creatures like Volshok Sorcerer to ping our own Rona and cast spells from our hand at random for free, would be incredibly fun. You could even use cards like Brainstorm or Sensei's Divining Top to tuck away pingers or small potatoes in our hands back on top of our deck to not accidentally cast something smaller with Rona, or up our chances at least. Run some cards like Zerzoth that not only are pretty good to cheat out with Rona, but also make 1/1s that can ping any target when they die. Rona. When I first read this girl, I was 99.9% sure that when I flipped her over, she was going to be Grixis color identity on the back. No, just Dimir. And it upsets me every time because I really, really, really like this commander a lot. Now I can hear you. It's dumb, but I can hear you. But Nick, that might be too powerful in a pinger deck. Sure, if you had a Rona in play and that you managed to flip for 6 mana, and you also have more than like 2 pingers to get more than like 3 free cards out of your hand, you know what? You got 7 pingers in play, and you just pinged your Rona 7 times and played your whole hand. Congrats. You just played an Omniscience for whatever it costs to play Rona, flip Rona, and cast 7 pingers. So I think there's better stuff to worry about than this. Also, I just got done with the Command Zone video, the awards, and saw Vivi or Neater win like 50% of it, and I'm on one. If she can ping, why can't I? Wizards, print something very similar to this and just make it Grixis. Yorsum, we still might try to figure this deck out though. The next commander that I wish had another color is Kaima the Fractured Calm. Kaima is a Gruul, red-green, 3/3 spirit. At the beginning of your end step, you goad each creature your opponents control that's enchanted by an aura you control, and put a 1/1 counter on Kaima for each creature goaded this way. Yeah, in green-red, in green-red, it's just boring, I guess. That's like really my own, that's gonna be a lot of my takes here. In green-red, you don't have nearly as cool as like auras. In green-red, you got a limited pool of auras to choose from. If you threw a little white in there, you would have Boros enchantments, Selesnya enchantments. I don't know if you know this. Selesnya, kind of good at enchantment stuff. You would have a super cool deck. It would almost be like a aggro version of the, I think it's Alayla. If it's not, I'll put it on the screen. The girl that can steal stuff that has enchantments on. I'm holding a phone and I'm like, the girl that does this stuff. Hold on a second. Arrietty the Beguiler. That's what I was thinking of. This is like a cool Naya version of Arrietty the Beguiler that's more aggressive as opposed to control. And I think that's very, very cool. Start throwing Gift of Immortalities on opponent stuff. Now you just have goated, indestructible murder squads that are swinging at opponents. You gotta love it. Not only this, but you could throw in some effects like Ghostly Prison to not only deter people from swinging at you when stuff's not goaded, but also help you win a 1v1 situation. You get access to the enchantresses that aren't green, like Mesa Enchantress. How about a Pearl Ear? Yeah, much better to me, and I'd run it immediately. And me saying I'd run a deck with red in it immediately, that's, I gotta go to therapy mode for this one. Hold on. I feel like I'm at the dentist. Kels Fight Fixer. Kels is a Dimir, blue-black, 4/3 Warlock with Menace. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you may pay blue or black to draw a card. You can also pay 1 and sacrifice a creature to give Kels indestructible until your next turn. I guess, Doc, I just feel like Wizards isn't listening, you know? Like, you're going to put a card named Kels Fight Fixer and then make it Dimir and not include green for fight cards? They also just gave her the ability to make herself indestructible, so that seems even better with fight. Doesn't matter how many times I read this card, I always think it's Sultai. It's never Sultai, it's always Dimir. You could make a very interesting fight deck with this thing. Throw in Valentine Dean of the Veen. I know that's not how you say it, but I love saying that name like that. To make 1/1 pest when opponent's creatures die, so while we're fighting, we can re-up on some of the creatures to sack to Kels to give her indestructible to fight some more stuff. Throw a Basilisk Collar on Kels to give her death touch. You're making the best boxer on the planet. That seems a lot less fun than just making it a Dimir deck where you just like make her indestructible and sack stuff and draw cards. Oh, we got a, ooh, this next one's, it's such a cool commander, and this is the only case on the list of a commander where they could have paired this with any color, and I probably would have ran it. I'm not a big monocolor guy, like at all, barely a 2-color guy, so if they would have made this 3-color, I probably would have definitely ran it. Kosei, Penitent, Warlord. Kosei is a mono-green 0/5 Ogre Samurai. As long as Kosei is enchanted, equipped, and has a counter on it, Kosei gains this ability. Whenever Kosei deals combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards, and Kosei deals that much damage to each other opponent. The thing is, finding a way to put an aura on this guy, put an equipment on this guy, and put counters on this guy, while not hard in mono green, is incredibly boring in mono green, because all of them are just, hey, put the counters on this guy. Oh, you want an aura? Make the guy bigger. The equipment's whatever, you can run the same equipments in any deck. The auras and counters are just that in green. It's just make the thing bigger with counters and make the thing bigger with aura. If you paired this with like any other color, this commander would get so interesting to me. You could add blue to this guy to get stuff like Ordeal of Thassa for auras and counters, or cards like Winged Boots or Cryptic Coat to help our commander get through with damage. I like white with this as well, being able to gain access to cards like Behemoth Sledge or Daily Regimen to turn Kosei's ability on. Black could be super interesting because you could just run, sure, some like powerful auras and stuff that you get access to in black, like Demonic Embrace. But you could also just run stuff like Dance of the Dead and Animate Dead, and if our commander dies, let it go to grave, get it back, no command cost, and it just comes into play enchanted. My favorite here though is red, not only having access to powerful auras like Runes of the Duess, but powerful equipments like Ember Cleave to potentially end games with Kosei. You've also got access to damage doublers like Twin Flame Tyrant, which when paired with active Kosei could potentially take out literally the whole table at once. Again, very cool commander. Wish the card pool was more diverse. Mono green seems like a damn shame. It's a damn, excuse my French, but I'm rightfully pissed. Now I'm downright pissed. Let's move on to Jhoira, Ageless Innovator. Jhoira is an Izzet, blue-red, 2/3 human artificer. You can tap her to put 2 ingenuity counters on her, then you may put an artifact card that costs X or less onto the battlefield, where X is the number of ingenuity counters on her. Now, I'm gonna be honest, my eyes kind of glaze over when I read Izzet commanders because I'm like, it's just gonna be Spellslinger or it's just gonna be artifacts, and I really don't care about either. But this is a specific case where I don't think I ever actually read this commander because this needs another color badly. This would be so fun with another color. Again, this is kind of a fill in the blank one. Any other color would be fun. The color I think would be the most fun with this though is white. Having white lets us run some really cool artifact interactions like Low Shield, Clockwork Scholar, along with some powerful artifacts to cheat into play like Kilo to help manipulate counters, or big artifact bombs like Bronze Guardian. So with all this together, I think you could have a really cool Jeskai Blink artifact deck where you use Jhoira to cheat stuff into play like Phyrexian Metamorph to copy big threats, or Mere Battlesphere to make a ton of tokens, and then use blink effects to blink those over and over and over again, while also cheating bigger and better ETBs into play and getting those as well. See how much more interested in this commander I got immediately as it had another color? Yeah. And then finally, we're going to wrap this video up with Chevill, Bane of Monsters. Chevill is a Golgari, black-green, 1/3 human rogue with death touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, if your opponent controls no permanents with a bounty counter on them, put a bounty counter on target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and you draw a card. I have had this guy sleeved up, half of his deck built 5 times, 6 times, and taken it apart every time because I'm like, this needs something. This ain't gonna do it how it is. And it's his ability could be labeled slow. It could be labeled a little underpowered. I honestly think this thing is just falling victim to needing one more color. In my opinion, if you throw red onto this dude, you have a super cool goad deck on your hands. Throw a Carter Doomscourge in here or a Disrupt Decorum to force combat for opponents and watch those counters fall off the creatures you put them on. This is really cool because it would change the deck from a deck that puts bounty counters on the biggest, scariest thing and then hope the table handles it for us into a deck that puts bounty counters on the creatures that are most likely to die in combat thanks to Goad. You also gain access to stuff like Berserker's Frenzy, which can let you choose how things block. And yeah, I think you have a way more political game plan, which is a lot more fun. You have way more diverse card pool having another color. You gain access to a whole different theme that changes the whole idea of the deck into something that's not so... Because why would you target one thing at the table and hope the table handles it when you can just start World War V at the table? So, some commanders that I think really could use another color. If you have any commanders that you think fall victim to this exact same problem of, man, if this had one more color, I'd run the shit out of it, comment them down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. If you haven't become a Patreon member or a YouTube member, go ahead and do it. It starts as low as $1 and you gain access to the deck submission forum where you can submit your decks for Friday night deck review, baby. We just had a ton of new patrons on YouTube and Patreon, so huge thanks to you guys for that. Huge things coming for the channel in 2026, so I hope you guys are ready for that. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.